Faithful Doubt, and today we're going to talk about politics and faith, and I don't want to do it. Hey guys, before we get started today, just want to remind you to please like, follow, and subscribe on all of our social media platforms. And those handles are Faithful Doubt on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Instagram is a little different. Faithful_doubt on Instagram. And hey, I need some questions. I need some topics. Don't be shy. We don't put names in the episode anymore, so it's completely anonymous. But please send those to faithfuldoubtcg@gmail.com. And don't go easy on me. Let's get some hard questions, some hard topics, and we'll talk about it. So today, talking about something that is a little touchy: politics and faith. Disclaimer before we continue. I am not going to take a side politically today, because that is not what this is about. And that kind of leads to my answer for the question. So I've kind of already answered the question, so I don't even know what the point of the episode is. But I'm going to continue talking about it anyway. So politics and faith. This is tough because I think we all care. Well, probably not all of us, but most people care about politics, right? And a lot of people care about their faith. So how do we interact? How do we engage in our own life with the two? Because usually one wins out. And if I'm being honest, just sharing my own story, when I was younger, politics won out a lot. And that might be true for a lot of people, especially if you're young watching this. Maybe politics kind of rules your mindset, your life right now. And maybe you don't even know it. Like, that's the crazy, like, sometimes we don't even know that politics rules us. Now, as you get older, you tend to kind of like lean back a little bit on politics and like all that. But social media, while it is beautiful and it has provided us with many opportunities, has also provided us with a lot of horrible things. And it is very easy to just yell at people for having a different political belief or ideology and value. And it's just, social media is a blessing and a curse. Now, for those of you who aren't Christians, I'm curious for your input on this. Do you find it, I'm asking you guys a question here. For those of you who aren't Christians, do you find it hard or difficult to balance politics and your belief system, whatever you want to call that? Or are politics your belief system? I'm genuinely curious how that works, and I'd love to know. Table that. Hopefully you guys respond to that. If not, that's fine. It's cool. Doesn't hurt my feelings or anything like that. But for Christians, question for you now. Which do you think tends to win out when you're trying to balance the two? Do you care a little bit too much about politics, or you care more about your faith? And I guess to kind of go into the real question here, how should we balance it? For any Christian, I would say this. I think Tim Keller has a quote on this, and I'm paraphrasing, and don't directly quote me on this. I think he says, no one should ever be able to put me in a box politically as a pastor or as, his church either. And I couldn't agree more with that. The church and Christians, we are not called to be politicians, to be political advocates. This does not mean that you can't partake in voting and exercising your rights as a citizen, or even having political beliefs and talking about them. I encourage conversation and discourse. This is what this whole channel is about. So I think that's a good thing to do. The problem arises with Christians when our politics, our ideology overrides our faith. If your politics, your political ideology is influencing your faith, it's backwards. I'm telling you right now, that is not what we're called to do. Jesus does not call us to that. Your faith should be influencing your politics. It should be the other way around. And that can be hard to do. But it's important as a Christian to remind ourselves of that as we are, man, I feel like society and culture is just more and more politicized. Maybe I'm not the only one that feels that way. I'm sure I'm not. And it's just really hard sometimes to just have a conversation without things getting heated and without people sharing their political ideologies and kind of like I've noticed this a lot lately. People like to kind of like lob bombs and see if they'll get a reaction. And as a Christian, I really have to work on how I react to those situations. And the greatest example of that we have is Jesus. Jesus is never political. In fact, he always goes against the religious leaders. You know, they want him to get political. And they try to trap him both ways to say that Caesar isn't, they try to get Jesus to deny the authority of Caesar as emperor. And Jesus says, no. Give to Caesar what is owed, pay your taxes. And in scripture, we also have that, the governing powers of this world, none of them are anointed or ordained without God's, ultimate approval. So Jesus doesn't fall into that trap, and I think we shouldn't either. Now, what Jesus also doesn't do is allow Caesar to rule his life or the politics of the day to rule his life. Jesus is countercultural. The gospel is absolutely diametrically opposed to the world, and politics are of the world. Now, are some political ideologies good? Of course. There's good things in politics. There's also a lot of bad things. And as Christians, we need to be able to balance the two. I used to always introduce myself as, I'm not going to say it, but I used to introduce myself as this political party Christian. I'm a progressive Christian. I'm a conservative Christian. I'm a liberal Christian. I'm a Republican. Like, I used to say one of those things all the time. Now I just say, no, I'm a Christian. And I've really stepped away from the political aspect of things. It doesn't mean I don't vote. It doesn't mean I don't have political beliefs or discussions with people. It just means that's not the most important thing in my life. And the most important thing in my life is Jesus Christ, my faith. And what he says about the world is so much more important than what any president, what any political party, what any politician could ever say about the world. Jesus speaks truth where a lot of politicians don't, right? Like, Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. And he has to be the center of your life if you're a Christian, not your politics. And guys, we as Christians are supposed to be an example of how we treat people and engage with people who don't believe like we do. And so often we do a horrible job of this. And again, this is the whole reason behind Faithful Out. We should be able to engage in conversation with people who are not like us, who do not believe like us, and we can have a respectful, loving, healthy conversation about fear and doubt and faith and God and the Bible and Jesus. And at the end of the day, if I have told and retold and repeated the gospel and just shared the love of Jesus Christ with someone, I have accomplished my mission for this podcast. It is not up to me to convert people. It is not up to me to make sure everyone that listens to this turns into a Christian. That's not going to happen. That is up to God and the person listening to these words. So, how should I balance politics and faith as a Christian? Faith should always be more important. Jesus is Lord. He needs to be more important than your politics. Your politics should be influenced by your faith, not the other way around. And when you engage and encounter someone who has a different political ideology, show compassion, show grace, and remember this. If you're really a Christian, we're all sinful, we're all broken, and there's a lot of things we can learn from each other. And that's pretty important. But most importantly, we can learn more from Jesus always. And I think he's always trying to teach us, and that should inform our politics. So this question, thanks for the question, but it was touchy and it was a little uncomfortable. I hope you guys are not uncomfortable. I feel like I'm making everyone uncomfortable with my weirdness right now. But hey, the last 4 episodes have been kind of fun. Like I've really enjoyed it. So I want to hear your input on this as well. Please send in an email or message with your thoughts or questions. How should you balance politics and faith as a Christian? I want to know what you have to say. And please like, follow, and subscribe, as I said at the beginning of the episode. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And as always, I'll see you next time.